Hey guys, it's Kusi. Let me welcome you to arguably the roughest challenge ever since I started making Zero to Heroes in Season 2. As a few of you saw during the announcement video last week, we are fully standing on a healer for the first time this season, and I made the executive decision to take the spec that a lot of people consider the most difficult. And boy, was this rough, as you will see. On top of that, for the first time I'm going to a different region, as this challenge happens on the NA servers. And it kinda went like that.
Oh, he dead. It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Okay, so first things first, let's go over the rules of this challenge, as it's not as simple as one would think. Rule number 1, you know what? Screw that. I'm playing on a new account on a new realm with no one to talk to. So obviously there is no Radar.io account I can connect to, there's no friend list I can rely on, and I can't send external gold. So all of the usual rules are pretty much self-explaining.
Okay, let's go.
Yet one more thing to mention. As I am an advocate of the community part of this game, I may or may not gonna join a guild in the future, yet I will stay away from any chances of getting carried, as one part of this series is to only apply to other people's keys and not do my own. Also, the ultimate goal, besides keys on hero at 2500, is also to gain all 8 portals of the season, meaning every dungeon timed as a plus 10 at least. And most of this series will be recorded live streaming, so if you want to be part of it, well, spiritually, as you helping me is not an option, feel free to come by and say hi. Besides those rules, I want to advise you to not try this at home, as some of the decisions I made this early will trigger a few people, I am certain. But before you come to any weird conclusions of how bad I am at this game, which is reasonable and not incorrect to do, watch how it works out. Oh, and one more thing to every one of you that is new to this channel, I'm a bit of an idiot. Alright, to set the scene proper here, I bought a boost. Hey man, I'm a cheap German, so getting a sale on a boost for 40 bucks instead of 60, my finger was itching to pull that one. And so here we are. After all the incredible power words this game has to offer, shield, barrier and even radiance, meet the most impactful and harmful one out there, the power word Peg.
Naughty, naughty, you teasing me?
And as any boosted character, this one starts off with an item level of 424, which means we got some distance to cover before we can do things like LFR, Mythic 0 or even Mythic Plus. So that's what we're about to do. Yet with the magic of editing, I will only show you the result of that, considering the weekly events like Siege, Feast, Hunt, Time Rift, World Boss or even the Farag Camp are pretty self-explaining and mostly done in a heartbeat. We also do have the time walking event up, as this is one day before the reset on NA, and yes, you might call that cheating, I call it making use of my time, as this 4-week schedule already is a rough one. And my very first time walking dungeon was already a special one. You see, as most of you know, if you enter a dungeon, there's something like a ready check to make sure none of the participants is AFK.
Yes.
However, this didn't seem to help, as our Locke was very much AFK right away. Also, our tank didn't know he was tanking, and he was just happily flapping his boomy wings around while awaiting someone to take the lead. Took a minute for them to realize what's happening. Oh yeah, and then I got locked out of the boss room, which prompted one question: where's the healing? And after all of those mentioned weekly events, some of them even twice, we managed to end up with an item level of 477. Pretty
Huge.
already, but the best part is, I got super lucky. You see, 4 out of the 5 potential tier slot slots have been veteran 480 plus gear, which means I can easily grab myself our 4 set instantly. As this late into the season, we got 9 charges to go through, meaning we can waste a few of those, even though we most likely will get an upgrade very soon. So let's talk tier for a moment. I legit only read it once I got it. While the 2 set is pretty straightforward, being 20% damage done to your penance as well as Smite, which is our maintenance spell, Smite also now increases our uptime of Atonement on our party members by 2 seconds. Atonement is the buff we put on people, so our damage converts into healing for them. Needless to say, this is insane already and could easily be considered a 4 set in my book, yet there's more. While under the effect of Shadow Covenant, which is the buff that triggers automatically while our little Mindbender friend stays around, Smite will hit again for some extra damage. This results in pretty much around 40% extra damage on Smite in the dungeon. Really cool stuff, if you keep in mind that this most likely triggers extra healing, which means our Mindbender is an even bigger healing cooldown. And to finish the preparation off, let's get the juice. I did some LFR already, which rewarded me with, well, roughly 0 items, as some of the people really sat there and were rolling stuff away, even though their gear was a lot higher. But it is what it is. And while your boy has no idea on what to get, I decided to quickly check out the site called archon.gg, as this one gives you an overall database on what people are using. So I came to the conclusion to get the 100 weapon from Ferak, as this passive effect seems to be the go-to and the most useful one. This also means we only need to buy one weapon enchant throughout this entire series.
Thank God.
Alongside, I got a suitable offhand, since I didn't have any, and the cloak from Sarkalath, as this one seemingly is also enjoyed by many disc gamers. But now came the biggest decision. I wanted a trinket.
You're joking.
So many fantastic ones are possible contenders. For the defensive side, we do have options like Blossom of Emir Seal, Ward of Faceless Ire, or even Ferak's Tainted Rage Shard, as this one has very cool effects to use, even though it's a tank trinket. For more aggressive gameplay, we do have other options like Chromatic Essence as a simple stat stick, or Belorelos with a big bang every 2 minutes that does some very neat damage for single target as well as AoE. But then my mind went somewhere else. I'm thinking, I'm going to play low keys, in a region that Europe makes a lot of fun of. Grief Torch, baby!
Are you dumb?
This sucker does some good damage and almost resets whenever a party member is dying. Perfect way to abuse those Muppet and A gamers for my own personal enjoyment.
You idiot!
Oh yeah, and I got myself a low tier ring crafted with only Whelpling crests, which means 486. And so we start the actual journey with an item level of, well, 486. But before we go straight ahead into our first key, since I skipped Mythic 0 completely, I got something specifically for you, so pay attention. Do I really need to say this? Okay. Ohio Onichan, please consider subscribing to this channel as... Bro, what the hell is this crap? Look man, we are on the road to 10k subscribers on this channel in the year of 2024, so if you watch this far, consider smashing the like button, as kids say these days, and also power word tag the subscribe button, as this really helps this hopeless WoW enjoyer to reach heights to tell my mother I told you so. Also, if you manage to get to that goal by the end of the year, we will have a 24-hour stream alongside an unpixelated facecam and some kinky stuff. That's what I'm talking about! Thank you for giving me your trust. Now back to the video. And our first dungeon was already a joyful one. Talking about only doing a +2, it's a lot higher than a usual start, as in Season 3, this level would have been considered a +12. After Tyrannical being up this week, the trash shouldn't be too much of an issue, unless one gets slapped by everything that comes their way. And yet the most fun thing about playing a healer for the first time this season is to figure out the damage pattern of bosses. For example, Meledrusa only hurts during her Frost Overload, which is when she's summoning those adds, and Shellstorm. Both of them hurt quite nicely, and considering you need to be on the move for Shellstorm, I need to find a way to prep the healing necessary for that. I reckon only a penance won't fix things, which is why I let 2 of them die. Good start to our journey. What followed was our usual low-key experience when it comes to the mini-boss drakes. People getting sniped by breath, while for us the importance are those rolling thunder buffs. They hurt like hell, so dispel one ASAP and top the other one as much as you can. In my case, I should put pain sub on the target that isn't dispelled, but very often I waste a charge on those while misclicking. Still got a long way to go, man. Now the second drake was where it's at. Usually you can skip this one, as the trash counter works out regardless. But not only did we pull, our hunter bunny hopped straight into the big caster mob that are to the edge towards the middle of this platform. And they are no joke. Fun fact, it's not the first time our hunter tried to dodge while going towards the middle, and it's also not the first time he pulled one of those mobs. He did before, but luckily it reset once it sent the pet enjoyer to Narnia. Maybe I should mind soothe those in advance. So we wiped and then went a shortcut towards the last elemental. Haters might say we didn't do that on purpose. Yet the hardest part is to come. 420 Blaze Hoof is a rough one as well, as she leaves you with very little room to do stuff. Besides the usual baiting of the ad as well as the boulder, there are 2 healer specific things to look out for. One is the very first cast that ad will dish out, as it's not kickable. So make sure you prep in advance to instantly get the party up to deal with the dot. The other thing is Searing Blow, as this one does some mad damage on the tank, and because we can't rely on others using death cooldowns, let's use the pain sub on the tank for good measure. Didn't let anyone die there? Quite surprised by myself. Ah shit.
Oh, he dead!
Well, it took 2 attempts as we played the boss in the open area, which meant the dragon was flying around and couldn't get attacked proper. Still timed, good key I guess.
No?
Now came the part where I was live streaming this recording, which prompted a real quick realization from my earlier actions. But what happened? And I bought... Of course, I'm playing in low keys with people that are considered bad at the game. Having that said, this thing easily provides the most damage for that. You will see, man, that's the smartest play. It gives... Oh, it doesn't give main stat.
You're joking.
I didn't know that. I thought this is just something you can use as a healer. Okay, that's minus 200 IQ actually. Would people that are considered bad at the game? So usually I would show you all the dungeons I did so far, but since I want to mix things up and more or less talk about the things that didn't go too well, let me quickly give you a rundown. We cleared a Nell +2, a Horse +2 with the key holder disconnecting after some time, did some LFR so I can replace the non-giving Grief Torch with Belorelos, and then we stepped into our first +4 key. A Zoo Vault was the place to be, and I'm absolutely aware that this thing hurt. Yeah, so we wiped. More than once. Only because we clipped each other with the explosive brand every time. Alright, cool. So that was that. And so we railed in Algeta 3 instead, and after that I took some talent advice from my lovely viewers, well, and Polly, to potentially make my gameplay a bit smoother. But we returned to a Zoo Vault. Another +4, since we absolutely need to redeem ourselves here from the wonky gameplay earlier. And it worked out a lot better. No more clipping of others. Yet we did leave a couple of trees alive on the first boss, which triggers some extra stomp damage. Better to use the defensive here. I also given up completely on healing blood decays as I need to do 27 casts to do the same thing that Death Strike does. Pretty sure we had no rotation without any trees alive, so this is what happens if you don't use a defensive cooldown. Azurblade on the other hand was getting me upset already. On this boss nothing happens in the first phase. Well, nothing you can't avoid. You got the slash that will instantly finger blast everybody that is not a tank, Kakashi style. Then you got the big ass arcane orb on crack to smite you, and you got those adds that do serious damage, but you can't kick them. The only incoming damage is in phase 2, as the ticking damage is quite rough and you need to be on the move throughout the phase. But not only did Darkshot get clipped by the cleave, he got rest, and then clipped by the very next cleave again. And then got rest again. Our paladin decided to not avoid damage in P2 either, which led to us being down in numbers, but 4 manning seems to be enough. And so we continue to the next one that is pretty easy to deal with, I think. Grey Wing has two things that are worrisome for us. Frostbomb, which does a good amount of damage to the entire party, which will need to counter heal pretty quickly as Icy Devastator is the real troublemaker. The boss targets one specific person, which then needs to be spot healed, or as someone in my chat pointed out, use pain suppression on them. Smart play. Then there's also this big AoE when the boss goes towards the middle, and even though I didn't test the following, I've been told afterwards that even though the boss takes reduced damage by casting, the party still gets the full effect of our healing through Atonement, meaning you can absolutely continue to cast on the boss to top the party. That's good to know. But as I thought, bosses light work, so we go to the next one that, isn't light by all means. Umbre's Goal is a rough one as a healer, mainly because her spells are not always queued up proper. The main issue on this boss triggers every 25% HP. As she will drop some of her turrets on the ground that will pull some good damage. You need to get rid of those ASAP, but the real struggle always happens to be the arcane orbs flowing around. You see, if you got good damage, you can trigger the first set of shards without having the balls flow around, but even if you don't, you need to avoid them.
Oh really?
They almost one-shot you even on lower key levels, which is exactly the reason why we lost the DPS very early. On the second rotation, we didn't have the proper damage anymore to take care of the shards, and so one cast went through to dot us all up real good. I couldn't keep up with this anymore, so we wiped. And with that, I tried to be more mindful about it to save my Mindbender for the shard phases, as it also provides a bit of damage and healing as well. But when we went on our second attempt, they just completely ignored the Hardened Crystal, which is the only one that does pulsing damage, and so it took too long to get it done. This meant that the ticking damage overall just prolonged for a long time, but we had a very easy solution for this. Blame the healer. Now don't get me wrong, I'm aware that 70k HPS ain't cutting it. Kinda. But also half the fight I don't have to do anything. Disregarding if the Hardened Crystal is still up, even though we had 20 seconds to get it over with before the big AoE, this ain't my problem. I got so amped up after this, cause for a guy that plays a meta spec, almost has the same item level as a damn survival hunter, while still doing no damage, actually got the nuts to call somebody out for his own mistakes? Come on man. I mean, he did have his own death cooldown ready to use, which he didn't, and he got tapped by one of the balls in the shard phase too. Which is just your way of saying fuck you to your healer. I don't know man. Luckily I'm a pretty chill dude and totally didn't argue about this for 5 minutes on stream afterwards. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.